Well, how do you do? Welcome to Sarah's Variety Show. And today we will be talking about an upcoming event, the Kentucky Derby. So, without further ado, here's the history of one of America's sporting events. There are few American sporting events with the history and popularity of the Kentucky Derby. Its rich traditions, sipping a mint julep, donning a beautiful hat, and joining fellow race fans in singing My Old Kentucky Home, transcend the Kentucky Derby from just a sporting event, making it a celebration of Southern culture and a true icon of Americana. The sporting event, or the Kentucky Derby, is the longest running sporting event in the United States, dating back to 1875. The race is often referred to as the Run for the Roses and has continuously produced the most exciting 2 minutes in sports, uninterrupted, even when coinciding with profound historical events like the Great Depression and World Wars I and II. The Kentucky Derby's long history began in 1872 when Meriwether Lewis Clark, the grandson of William Clark, of the famed pair Lewis and Clark, traveled to Europe. While there, Clark attended the Epsom Derby in England, a well-known horse race since 1780, and also fraternized with the French Jockey Club, a group that developed another popular horse race, the Grand Prix de Paris-Longchamp. Clark was inspired by his travels and experiences, and upon his return, was determined to create a spectacle of horse racing event in the United States. With the help of his uncles, John and Henry Churchill, who gifted Clark the necessary land to develop a racetrack, and by formally organizing a group of local race fans to be named the Louisville Jockey Club, Clark and his new club raised funds to build a permanent racetrack in Louisville, Kentucky. On May 17, 1879, the racetrack opened its gates and the Louisville Jockey Club sponsored the very first Kentucky Derby. A total of 15 three-year-old thoroughbred horses raced 1.5 miles in front of a cheering crowd of approximately 10,000 spectators. Aristides was the first winner of the Kentucky Derby. As with any major event, the Kentucky Derby has undergone various changes over the course of 3 centuries, from shortening the distance of the race, the introduction of traditions like draping the winning horse in a garland of roses, to the growing size of Derby crowds. The Kentucky Derby has embraced the change of time while honoring the integrity of the spectacle race set forth by Meriwether Lewis Clark. So here are some of the timeline of historic markings of changes in the Kentucky Derby. 1874, Colonel Meriwether Lewis Clark forms the Louisville Jockey Club and acquires land for racetrack from his uncles John and Henry Churchill. In 1875, the first Kentucky Derby race takes place on May 17th. 1883, Leonidas wins the Derby, and the name Churchill Downs is first used to landmark the racetrack that is the home of the Kentucky Derby. 1889, bookmakers demand that Colonel Clark remove pari-mutuel betting machines because they are cutting into the bookmakers' profits. Spokane wins the Derby. 1894, due to the growing size, a 285-foot grandstand is constructed to accommodate race fans. In 1895, the famed Twin Spires greet the Kentucky Derby crowd on May 6th. 1896, it is thought that the distance of the Derby race is too long for 3-year-old thoroughbreds that early in the spring, so the distance of the Derby race is shortened from 1.5 miles to 1.25 miles. Ben Brush wins the Derby, and he receives a floral arrangement of white and pink roses. In 1903, now under the leadership of Colonel Matt J. Wynn, the racetrack celebrates its first profit after the Kentucky Derby on May 2nd, where Judge Himes wins the race. 1904, the red rose becomes the official flower of the Kentucky Derby, and Elwood wins the race. 1911, the minimum bet is reduced from $5 to $2, and a betting booth is introduced. 2 men are stationed in a booth to receive fans' bets. One sells the wagering ticket, and the other operates a clicker to account for the number of tickets sold. 1913. The fees to enter a horse in the Derby and the Derby prize money are restructured. The new charges are $25 to nominate a horse for the Kentucky Derby and $100 for the Derby horse to actually run in the race, with those collected fees plus Churchill Downs adding $5,000 to the purse. The winning horse receives $5,475. Let's see. In 1925, the first network radio broadcast of the Kentucky Derby takes place on May 16th, with about 5 to 6 million listeners tuning in to hear Flying Ebony win the Derby. Also notable in the year, the phrase "Run for the Roses" is coined by Bill Corum, a sports columnist for the New York Evening Journal and the New York Journal American. In 1930, Gallant Fox wins the Derby, and the term Triple Crown is officially used by the New York Times to describe his combined wins in the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness Stakes and the Belmont Stakes. In 1931, the Kentucky Derby is permanently scheduled for the first Saturday in May, as opposed to an undetermined date in mid-May. The move was largely due to the popularity of the idea of a Triple Crown winner and allowed for a consistent racing schedule for the horses that would participate in the 3 races. First, the Kentucky Derby, followed by the Preakness Stakes, followed by the Belmont Stakes. In 1938, a tunnel is constructed under the racetrack that connects the grandstand spectator seats to the field inside the racetrack, called the infield. Admission is 50 cents to enjoy the Derby from the infield. Lauren wins the Derby, and he is the first to take a stand built in the infield for the official presentation to the Kentucky Derby winning horse. 1949, the 75th Kentucky Derby is locally telecast for the first time, and Ponder wins the Derby. 1952, the public exposure of the Kentucky Derby is expanded with the first national live television coverage in its history. An estimated 10 to 15 million viewers tune in to watch Hill Gale win the Derby. 1954, the Kentucky Derby winning purse exceeds $100,000, and Determine is the horse to cash in. 1966, the famed Millionaire's Row dining room is introduced. 1968, Dancer's Image is the first Derby winner to be disqualified following the race. Dancer's Image tested positive for an illegal medication, so the purse is taken from him and awarded to the second place finisher, Forward Pass, who is declared the winner. 1970, Diane Crump is the first female jockey to ride in the Kentucky Derby race. Crump finished 15th out of 18 horses in the field, and even though her Derby race wasn't a win, she brought women to the forefront of horse racing. 1973, in the 99th running of the Kentucky Derby, Secretariat wins with the fastest finishing time to date. Secretariat completed the race in 1 minute, 59 seconds, and 40 milliseconds, and went on to win the Triple Crown for the first time in 25 years. All right. Let's see. So let's take a look at some of the names, which I always find very entertaining, that will be running the race this year. We have Known Agenda with 6-1 odds, Like the King with 50-1 odds, Brooklyn Strong 50-1, Keep Me in Mind 50-1, Sainthood 50-1 odds, O Besos 20-1, Mandaloun 15-1, Medina Spirit 15-1, Hot Rod Charlie 8-1, and Midnight Bourbon 20-1, Dynamic One 20-1, Helium 50-1, Hidden Stash 50-1, Essential Quality 2-1, Rock Your World 5-1, King Fury 20-1, Highly Motivated 10-1, Super Stock 30-1, Soup and Sandwich 30-1, and Bourbonic 30-1. So there will be 20 horses competing for the title of Kentucky Derby winner. And if you get a chance, make sure you tune in. It'll be this weekend, since it's the first weekend in May. And hopefully it will be an exciting and thrilling event for under 2 minutes. So thank you for joining me today for a little history on the Kentucky Derby. And I hope that May starts us off well. And have a great day, Prairie Lakes. Off to the races.